Ahoy there, I'm Jesús Crespo. I'll be analyzing one of the most impressive and symbolic novels in world literature, Moby Dick, written by American author Herman Melville and originally published in October 1851. The edition I have read countless times is a luxurious, sturdy book published by Edimat, featuring a blue hue, a binding that evokes the depths of the ocean, and heavyweight paper that stands the test of time, ideal for a work of this magnitude. A fundamental element of this version is its critical apparatus, which positions the work not only as a maritime adventure, but also as a philosophical treatise on humanity's challenge to the divine. Moby Dick is a technical, lyrical, and allegorical epic. Melville employs prose that shifts between adventure, narrative, and detailed manuals on cetology to describe the obsessive hunt of the white whale in the mid-19th century. The story is narrated by Ishmael, a young man who seeks an escape from his spiritual November. He joins the crew of the Pequod by pretending to have the experience that will free him from his taciturn life. What begins as a commercial whaling expedition departing from the United States soon transforms into a suicide mission led by Ahab, a captain who seeks not whale oil, but vendetta against the Leviathan that tore off his leg. On this journey, a route that crosses the South Atlantic, traverses southern Africa, ascends toward the China Sea, and ends in the vast open waters of the equatorial Pacific. The crew, a microcosm of Earth, with members from diverse nations and unique cultures, such as the harpooner Queequeg from a remote South Pacific island, or the level-headed Starbuck from Nantucket, Massachusetts, surrender their free will to the charisma and demonic influence of their unyielding leader. At the center of the story lies the white whale, Moby Dick. More than just an animal, it is a being that seems to transcend life and resembles a deity, a mirror onto which character projects their fears or hatred. For Ahab, the whale represents the evil of the world, or an indifferent god whom he must destroy to prove the worth of his own existence. His character is one of total rebellion. He claims he would speak personally to the sun if it insulted him. The cetacean god inhabits a very specific hunting ground where the currents and water temperature favor the concentration of giant squid, the main food source of sperm whales, a place they call the Line. Melville breaks with the conventions of his time. He interrupts the action to offer lessons of the anatomy of sperm whales, the processing of blubber, the types of ships, their crews, and their respective roles, and even describes the history of art. This encyclopedic style has historically been the most criticized and challenging aspect for readers of the novel, but it is what gives it metaphysical weight. The work serves as a critique of unbridled ambition and suggests that nature or God always prevails over human arrogance. In my opinion, Moby Dick has 3 rich layers of interpretation, which is why I am convinced that it is a truly fascinating literary work, and, in my view, the most beautiful ever written. It is an unprecedented work for the following reasons. On the first layer, it is a fantastic story, the thrilling adventure of whalers seeking revenge and glory classifies the book as a fantasy dedicated to entertainment. On the second layer, it is an extraordinary educational encyclopedic novel, drawing heavily on the experiences of its author, who worked as a whaler in 1841. As we read it, we encounter technical terms, definitions, and authentic descriptions of seafaring life in his time, presented with a wealth of realistic detail, which lends the work a documentary and bibliographic quality. And on its third and final layer, Moby Dick is a vast allegory, larger than life. The ship named the Pequod represents humanity, which, like the crew, is composed of men from all corners of the globe. Native Americans, Africans, Polynesians, and Europeans. We, as human beings, are the ship sailing across the ocean that represents existence, because the sea that symbolically is our life can be merciless and cruel at times, and man, like Captain Ahab, seeks meaning in it. In that realization, he is crushed by the indifference of nature or of a God who allows his suffering and that of his men, or, in our case, that of humanity. He denies God and sets out to destroy him, who is represented as the great albino sperm whale. But when man confronts his creator, is overwhelmed by the Almighty. In conclusion, this is a truly comprehensive work whose complexity elevates it to the status of magistral work, worthy of study and analysis. It is by no means an easy book to digest, but Melville, a genius of American literature, surpasses by a wide margin any Hispanic, French, German, Slavic, or Asian writer in history. In every term of excellence, that recognition, which he did not enjoy in his own time, is more than justified, and its name is Moby Dick.